Welcome to another OCD Recovery Instagram Live. I thought I would come on here quickly to do some questions and answers. So anything you would like to ask me about OCD stuff, please do so. Anything about any of your OCD thoughts that you're stuck on, or any part of the journey that you'd like help with, you can ask it just in the questions on here, and I will cover it now. So yeah, I will wait to cover those questions. I'm not going to go into a specific topic today because I think often what happens is I speak about a topic for a while on here, and then we don't cover enough of the specific questions that people ask. And I know that when you're stuck with OCD, it feels very alone, and it's very difficult to find information that's helpful for getting better. And obviously we've got the free Facebook group, which is there so that you can ask questions in there, and you've got the YouTube videos and so on, and all the other content we put out. But this is a resource that I do for people who don't come in for coaching, one-to-one coaching or group coaching with myself. So anything you want to ask in relation to your OCD, please do so, and I will cover it now. Just put your comments in the bottom here and I will respond to them. I can't respond to every single question. Often the questions come in quite quickly, and a lot of them are sometimes on broad subjects like what is unconditional self-acceptance or how do I recover from OCD. The problem with those really broad topics is they take they're too long to answer, and it's easier to just do ones that are more specific. Can OCD make you feel disconnected? Now, it's usually a reassurance question if you've been asking it to lots of places, but OCD is going to make you feel disconnected, especially with the likes of RSD, and I imagine you fear being disconnected. So it's learning to make peace with being disconnected and learning to wear that like an uncomfortable coat and breaking down the irrational fears, why it would be so bad to feel disconnected, why it would be so scary to feel disconnected, why would it be so unbearable? In reality, it wouldn't. So if you're asking that to lots of places, it's reassurance. But if you need help getting under it, it's all about why it's not the end of the world if you feel disconnected, and why just wearing it like an uncomfortable coat is the key. So that's what you've got to do. You've got to see that even if you feel disconnected, especially in existential themed OCD in relation to solipsism and so on, it's the feeling of, I can never connect with my family and friends again. That's not unbearable. You're all right if you can't connect. You can still enjoy things the same as when you watch a movie. When you remember their actors, for example, you feel disconnected, but then you forget about it most of the time. And with our OCD, you don't need to be connected all the time, the same as you don't need to be feeling of love all the time. We tend to think, I need to feel love all the time. No one lives like that. It's not true. It's not reality. Is it normal my RSD is making me think constantly about a toxic guy? I finally had the courage to quit months before meeting my actual... Yeah, it's trying to pull you back to the thing that you dislike to take away the thing that you like. So the thing that you want is your current relationship, so it's trying to drag you back. Maybe I had a partner in the past that I loved. Maybe I had a partner in the past that was the so-called one, where there is no such thing as the one. It's not a reality-based concept. And it's going to look to sort of detract, because the thing you're trying to cling to and you want to stay safe is you want your relationship intact. You don't want that destroyed. So you're like, no, nothing can come in between me and my thing that I want, my relationship. That must stay intact. So to do that, I must scan everything in the past or the present that could damage that thing I want to hold. That's what anxiety is doing. It's checking to make sure that thing is safe and secure, overly checking. Mine has manifested into real event OCD, and it's really pulling on my guilt strings. Any idea how to overcome? Well, the reason it is doing that is because it loves that, because chronic guilt will make you feel not great, and it scans the environment to see if there's anything to feel guilty about, obviously for a super safety, because that's what it's like, a fine-tuned detection system, and then it's looking for anything like that and latching. But when you move towards unconditional self-acceptance, like my latest post on the Instagram page talks about, there is no need for chronic guilt or anything in the past to latch to, because you would accept yourself under all circumstances. And chronic guilt serves no benefit anyway, because it's like chronic torture. Serves no benefit. Okay, in the past, noticing a little bit of, I shouldn't have done that, some sort of remorse, that's healthy. But chronically, all the time, guilt serves no benefit whatsoever. It doesn't lead to any positive change. OCD can attach to anything. I can't highlight that enough. Anything, anything, anything. Stop looking to see if somebody's got it different to you. Somebody is in a situation where theirs is different, yours is different, you're unique, this is... forget all of that kind of searching. It's a never-ending road. Panic disorder and OCD, all it is fear of panic attacks, fear of an anxiety sensation. Don't worry about, is it rare or is it different? It's just a fear of a sensation. You fear an anxious sensation. That's all it is. You're fearing an anxious sensation, and that then builds in a panic attack. You feel the anxious sensation, and then you get scared of feeling more and more of that sensation, and it mounts and mounts and mounts. And then that's how you experience the whole panic attack situation. Is it possible to overcome OCD without professional help? Yes, you can, through reading the books, doing your own facing fears and so on, but it is very challenging. Without someone from the outside seeing it and helping you with it, it's very difficult to tackle it alone. So it's, you know, a lot of people use our Facebook group and the YouTube videos and read the books, and it makes a significant improvement to their life, but it's very, very different to the coaching that we do. That's very specific, really looking into your problems, how it's locking on, how it's latching, how to get under that. And that's something we do to sort of really paint the picture for your path to recovery. When you're doing that from the inside, just on your own, you can't see those things so subtly. You may be focusing on a particular irrational belief, but not realizing how the whole thing's working. So it makes a big, big difference to have help. But you can do it on your own, but it's very, very tricky. You'll probably get it down a large amount, but then to really get to recovery, it is challenging on your own. You will have to definitely read the books. It's very much in there, and improving your knowledge on OCD like this account does, because OCD recovery is a combination of what Albert Ellis taught with unconditional self-life acceptance, all the Claire Weeks, Paul David, work that they did, talking all about learning to understand anxiety and view it as sensations and wear it like an uncomfortable coat. Well, that's summarising the book very, very shortly, but there's a lot more to it than that. If you look at those books, and then obviously all the stuff that we do, which is really thorough understanding of OCD from every angle. You don't need to know everything, but it gives you the real tools to get under it, so you really understand how it operates. OCD is going to move themes. It's like that. It feels like an antibiotic. It feels like a antibiotic resistant bacteria. That's what it feels like, constantly chasing its way to get in there. Hence why unconditional self and life acceptance is so crucial, because it gets under it regardless of whatever angle it's coming from, because it just creates the framework so that it can't latch to anything. Don't try and nail down unconditional self-acceptance and have it completely bolted down perfectly. It's about accepting that you won't have it bolted down perfectly, that you are going to work towards acceptance, but it's not something that's like a blueprint that you have to have locked down. Anxiety obviously goes through the nervous system, so you can have anxiety sensations anywhere, fleeting and changing and constantly moving around, because that's how it will function through the nervous system. The current guilt that you're feeling, Ed, is all in relation to because you haven't got unconditional self-acceptance, and you're also awfulizing and catastrophizing the thing in the past that you fear. The reason it feels more real with a new angle is because when it morphs and you feel it, you then have a new anxious reaction suddenly to its changed form, because you're not used to the other one. So then you feel like it's got worse, or you're going to be stuck forever. That's what it does. It completely gets into that. I think that's very, very important to bear that in mind, because otherwise what happens is you feel like you're losing control, and it's getting worse and worse, and it's constantly moving. I think it's very important in life to take a step back and to view your life from above, okay, looking down, right? So if you imagine if you're on the top deck of a bus and you're going along and you see all humans moving around, all their problems seem very small because you're up here. And the higher you go, the smaller things. When we're zoomed right in, everything seems very big, right? And I'll give you an example of that. Here. Don't know if you can see this. This is a sculpture of some people swimming in a pool, some little figures in a garden. Okay? Now, when I look at that, and I look at that sculpture, and I look at those tiny little characters in that garden, I think, well, one, it was a thing that sort of, it's a kind of plant ornament that I have, which is, I think when I look in those kinds of things where there's tiny little people in something, little figures, is when you're viewing something from afar, all of life loses all the trivialities. When you look at the moon, when I stand and look at the sky and the universe, I can't see the universe, I see all the stars and so on in the sky, I think to myself how tiny, how insignificant every problem is. In the scheme of anything, whatever problem, whatever fear in the past you have is irrelevant. It's completely irrelevant. Absolutely irrelevant. But the problem comes when we zoom in on things and we think, oh, this is so big, this problem. This is the worst thing in the world. Nothing could be any worse. This is the most terrible thing. It's going to take up all my life. It's so bad. The whole world's going to implode if that thing were to happen. It isn't reality. Life goes on. Every day, somewhere in the world, people are dying. Someone's being murdered. Someone's committing terrible crimes. There's terrible diseases. There's everything. Moving along, life. And we still go through it, one day after another, after another, after another. That is key to realizing that each day, another day goes by, and a problem that was once in the past may move on to another thing, or everything's forgotten. If you watch Carl Sagan's A Pale Blue Dot on YouTube, talking about the universe and our sort of planet, this pale blue dot, Milky Way, just sitting there, and you think, what is that planet? It's just loads of little humans living on this rock in outer space. How important is anything in the grand scheme of things? I know that's going to trigger existential OCD, but we can come to that in a minute. What the problem is here is that we exaggerate everything. Think of the biggest celebrities, the Michael Jacksons, the Beatles, anything. In the scheme of the universe, it's nothing, completely irrelevant. 1,000, 2,000 years, probably completely irrelevant. Think of anyone who died in the past. Think of a Michael Jackson. How often are you thinking about that every day? Or think of a Winston Churchill or any of the great leaders, the Gandhis, the Mother Teresa. How often are you thinking of them every day? You don't. It just falls into the past, into this just completely vast amount of time. It's eternity of time. That's the same as all your problems. Everything you worry about, everything you think, in the scheme of everything, is absolutely insignificant. Now, in terms of existential OCD, that's not to be feared. It's a peaceful thing. Why do we need everything to have such, whatever meaning we attach to something has meaning, okay? But if you need help with existential OCD, please check out the YouTube channel in the section all about existential, and there's lots of detail there on that subject. Okay, back to these questions. How can we make peace with not feeling in love? Why do we need to feel in love all the time? You know, people aren't in love all the time. Even people that are in love, they're not walking down the street, skipping down the road, dancing, feeling in love. They're living their life and going to work and not thinking about their partner 24/7. And couples have been together a long time. They're not thinking like that. They've got used to it. It's very different. It's very different. It is not like we tend to think it is, that we need to be in this sort of like trance-like, love-like state going along all the time. That's not how life is. No one's perfectly happy. Think of the wealthiest person, the best athlete, the best singer, whatever. They're not dancing along happy no matter what. Life, it's happiness up and down, okay? There's going to always be the case. You're never going to have it perfectly sort of maintained throughout all the time. Can teenagers have POCD? Anyone can have POCD. the question there about irrational fear and the irrational feeling the opposite, that's only because you don't yet understand what irrational really is. So I would suggest reading the Albert Ellis books on the reading list, How to Stubbornly Refuse to Make Yourself Miserable About Anything, and The Myth of Self-Esteem, to help clear that up, to give you an understanding of that. How to move on from past mistakes. Humans are fallible, okay? So humans are going to make mistakes. Okay, that's part of being human. You're not going to avoid that, okay? So that means whether it's on purpose, whether you knew it, whether you did it and you knew it was a mistake, whatever. Doesn't matter. It's a mistake, it's a behaviour. The only thing making it awful, terrible, beyond belief is your perspective of it. I'm having a lot of anxiety and not sure how to deal with it because OCD is creating events that has not really happened. That's what OCD is going to do. It's going to create false memories and everything that have not really happened. That's what it does. That's its nature. So you've got to get used to moving towards unconditional self-acceptance and life acceptance. So whatever it comes up with is irrelevant. Doesn't matter. It's because you're so focused on, I need to have everything perfectly and need to know where things are and need to know all my life perfectly planned out, that I feel completely incontent because you've got conditional self-acceptance. You believe you can only accept yourself if you did ... But if you did that, then you're written off, and that's why it keeps latching to that. Neck muscles will feel tense. There's a video on that on the YouTube channel, all about physical symptoms. It will specifically be triggered there. No amount of massage or acupuncture really brings it down. You really need to get under the anxiety. When you get under the anxiety, that brings it down. But at the moment, it's going to sort of just be turned on all the time. Not all the time, but often all the time, or at different times of the day. And it will just feel very, very tense there. And you'll often feel like you need to lie down and prop your head up with a pillow to get that to relax. And it still won't. Still feel very, very tense. That's where one of my original injuries came from in the gym, because my muscles were so tensed when I was doing the weights. I then did damage to one of my discs. So it will do that by nature. Yes, all of these are saved and put onto the YouTube channel. The questions about studying, it's because you fear failing in studying. That's one of the most common ones. It's what all exam stress tends to do with fear of failing, fear of mucking up your exams for one reason or another, an irrational belief that you hold about exams. Friends will do bad things. You can't have friends that are perfect. Again, the contamination association there, the contamination association it's there that it's creating with that kind of link is because it knows that you don't want to lose your friend and you're trying to protect your relationship. So it's scanning for anything to destroy that relationship because you don't want to lose it. So we'll do that. The same as our OCD. Our OCD can be towards partners, it can be towards kids, it can be towards friends, towards our children, to anything. Groinal responses are only a sensation, but it's because it comes on automatically in relation to certain things that you fear that it means something else. Unconditional self-acceptance gets under it. Having more understanding of groinal responses and why that happens is another thing. There's some great videos on that on the YouTube channel by Oliver on groinal responses and sensations, as well as POCD and sexual themed OCD. He's done some great videos on there that cover that. Check those out. The question that keeps asking, can OCD fears be anything? That is reassurance because it's being repeatedly asked. I have a fear of living a happy life. When are those happy moments I get anxiety attacks? Yeah, because it's trying to detract from you. You're trying to maintain being happy too much. You're trying to ensure that you can be happy and nothing damage it or distracts from that. So it's going to keep latching to that. I want society to accept me. I don't want to feel weird. That's the problem. You need to get used to accepting of society not accepting you. You need to get used to society rejecting you. That is the way out. That is the freedom. I couldn't care less if society rejects me. Of course, I would prefer that society doesn't reject me. It would be better. But if it does happen, it's not unbearable. You get used to it. Plenty of people have. We know that with celebrities that have terrible stories written about them and they're fine afterwards. It's only perspective. Okay, I think that covers the majority of those questions. I will be back on here doing another question answers soon in the week, and I will cover more of you guys' questions. So yeah, come back on here when I'm next on a live. Put your questions in the comments below, and I'll respond to them like today. All right, guys, take it easy. I'll see you later. Bye.